Team Empire podcast. Just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Infinite Aesthetics. I can never get it out. Use the code EMPIRE to save at infiniteaesthetics.co.nz. Thank you for supporting the pod. Obviously, I've got a massive guest on today. We were going to wait until the end of the season because he's a busy man, but we're doing it now, which is exciting, mid-season. I've got Shane Hunter on the pod. How are you, Shane?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for taking the time. Everyone is stoked that I've got you on, and for good reason. You've got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you definitely do. And we've got heaps to go through because I've obviously followed you and known you for a wee while. I know what you get up to and what you've built, and it's heaps. There's a lot to cover. So we're just going to dive straight in, okay? Because there's a lot to
go for it.
We're going to start with the IFBB season because obviously we're deep in it right now. We've got one more regional, then we've got nationals, and so we're right in the guts of it. And you are deep in IFBB in New Zealand, which is really cool. Let's talk about Tournament of Champs. So this is your show. This is Shane's baby.
Yeah.
When did it begin, and like what role do you play in the show, and like how did it begin? And like everything like that. Tell us about that.
I think Tournament of Champions, we've done 5 shows now. Initially, it was just to support local bodybuilding in the Manawatu region. You know, like back when I was competing, there was a lot of local athletes, and we always had to travel to, you know, Wellington or Auckland or something like that. So the original concept was just inspired by doing something for the local community, you know. So yeah, it's a bit of a long story. Like Mo and I, initially we didn't do business together in the early days, and there was sort of a bit of conflict that existed, just from other people talking a bit about both of us. And then when I decided to do a WFF show, and I was sharing all my prep through social media and stuff, you know, Mo actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, you're looking really good. The door's always open for you to knock on to do one of our shows," you know. So he sort of bridged that communication, started that, and I said, yeah, I want to come and compete in the IFBB, and still my dream is to be a pro bodybuilder one day. So when I'm in good enough condition, I'll turn up and do your show and win your show, because I'm not going to turn up there to lose. So yeah, it was a bit of a hard case.
I love it. It's so cool. And then so that's just how it kind of came out of the woodwork, because otherwise you would have got Waikato or whatever, like you said, you know.
Yeah, that's sort of how it came about. I ended up competing and doing the Wellington show to qualify for regionals, for nationals, sorry, and then going through to the nationals. But I was, you know, I sort of reached out to Mo and said, "Hey, can we do something in Palmerston North? I want to become a part of the federation, just to be a positive influence and hope to be a role model and inspire and just create a positive community throughout the whole country." And Mo said, you know, would you be interested in running your own show? And I said yes. And at that stage, I was in a semi-partnership with a couple of ambassadors. They were some of our brand ambassadors, but people that were starting up a federation in New Zealand, a well-known federation. And I was sort of involved in that. And then once Mo and I agreed to some terms and we shook hands, you know, I said to those guys, "Hey, I'm with the Mo's given me his word. We've got a handshake agreement, so I'm going to be moving forward with the IFBB." And Mo's he's been awesome, you know, like since day one, just a stand-up guy. I've got so much love and respect for him. So he's one of those guys, once you get to know him and you work with him, that you really appreciate and respect everything he's done as a bodybuilder, but for the community in general, you know.
100%. He's like, without you guys, or without Mo, and to start with, it wouldn't even happen. So we wouldn't even have a sport. So it's awesome that you guys can work together like that.
Yeah.
Through like having a bit of beef and whatever, and then you come out of it, it's just like, you know, people just should keep out of it from the start, and everything would just be fine. But sometimes you have to go through that shit to, you know, to get out the other side. So how was your show this year? I got to catch it live, which was so good. I came all the way from Auckland with Frank and Kate. How did it go for you? Did you find it was a good show compared to the other 4? Like, what do you reckon?
I think the show was a success. We always, you know, try to create a show for the athletes, and to have a community or just a comfortable environment that everybody feels good competing in. And I think we accomplished that. We always do. Everyone, you know, the feedback's always super positive. I think the venue's second to none. The lighting is always compliments the athletes' hard work. and we try and run the show as smoothly as we can. I think, from a promoter's perspective, a lot more work could be done by myself and my team to get the quantity of athletes that the show deserves. So that's something that we've already started working on collectively, myself, my wife, and my daughter for next year. We're quite lucky. We have a good show based on the reputation of the show, and we've recognized that, and now it's time to build the brand and put some hard work in and bring something to the industry next year second to none. So that's what we plan to do.
Yeah, nice. I love it. I think it's only going to keep growing. Everyone loves it. And like you said, the feedback is awesome. Like I talked to so many people that did your competition and done it before. They all love it. It's the best in the country, everyone says. So that's really cool. That's awesome. That's a good reputation to have. So keep growing on that. It's also, I'm considering doing it next year after watching it. I'm like, I want to come to Palm. Like the only reason I wouldn't is because a lot of people can't come, but fuck it, I'll do a Waikato one too. Like it's worth the trip because it is a really good show and the venue is awesome, like you said. So anyone who wants to go watch it, I highly recommend getting a ticket to watch or competing down there next year as well. Just think about it.
Yeah, we have some big plans for next year, and as soon as the remainder of this season is complete, we'll start marketing and just bringing some awareness to what we plan to do next year. But considering the current economic climate that we're all living in at the moment, I was happy with the amount of competitors that we had and the way that the show went. We literally just put a post out 12 weeks. Here's the date. Just see who turns up type thing. So yeah, we'll be working on that for next year.
There's only real bodybuilders competing at the some because of inflation and stuff. You have to be committed to the grind to spend all your money on bodybuilding, but it's worth it if you love it. It's worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. What do you think about the a lot of people do talk about the schedules and the times that show dates come out, and a lot of people whinge about it being really late in the season or whatever. But do you have a lot of control over that, or is that kind of like there's so much planning that goes into it that the dates just come out when the dates just come out? Is that kind of how it works?
Oh no, it's all about, a lot of it's about availability of venues and then trying to align with the nationals. And with COVID the last few years, it's been hard, with a lot of shows getting cancelled and dates changing and these types of things. And I've found the last few years that people don't really want to diet over Christmas and New Year's. I think a lot of people want to enjoy the festive season and just drink and eat and just enjoy that time, and they don't really want to diet. So trying to do anything sort of March through to June, the numbers just aren't there. And then on the other token, a lot of people would rather try and do a show as close to nationals as possible to qualify, and then they're only a few weeks away from doing nationals. So yeah, that are sort of the contributing factors. I did my show. I wanted to be a week out from nationals. The plan was for TOC to be a week out from nationals instead of Waikato, and try and make it, a big event. But there was just no venue availability. Everything was booked out. So I decided to go a little bit earlier, thinking that, the quality of the venue and the show will attract people. So that's sort of how that worked out.
Yeah, it's not too far though. It's not like it's Auckland champs to nationals. Hey, it's still close enough, and it's a good amount of time for the athletes to make differences if they need to make a couple changes. Like they've got that little gap, whereas Waikato this year is only 2 weeks, so it's not a lot of time to fuck with yourself if you need to. So it's kind of But it's not bad. It's not. People shouldn't complain about that at all. I think it's kind of like it is a good amount of time, I reckon. What goes into planning a show like this? Like, do you go year to year? Does it take like 12 full months of planning, or do you just kind of start planning in the new year? Like, you've got so much to invest into it. Like, how long does it take?
We've got a formula now. We've got a blueprint down pat. So we sort of just follow that for next year, because the intent is to do something extraordinary and special. We're already working on it now. We're already working on it now. So I think it doesn't really matter when our show is going to be next year, or tentatively 2 shows. We could be running 2 shows out of Palmerston North. That's our sort of plan. I think it's going to be that attractive that people are going to commit to those shows first and foremost, and then go to nationals from there with what we have planned. So we're working on it now. I want to have, there's some pretty cool stuff that we're working on. I want to have all that organized and developed and ready to go months in advance, so that we can just start saying, hey, come and do this show, because this is what we're doing, this is what we're putting on.
Oh, I love that. Give everyone a little bit of something that they'll be like, oh, I want to see what's happening here. I want to know more about this show. People love that. They're like getting excited in.
Yeah.
It's
And
good.
a lot of the ideas, like I bought my daughter works for us at Nutrition Systems now. And I brought her on board to be a part of it, and she absolutely loved it. And she's just, just young and got good energy and got good ideas. And she's like, oh, Dad, like we need our own, makeup and hair artists backstage, and we need, we need to focus on the bikini category a whole lot more and get more girls in. And I want them to have, robes and all these types of ideas. And it's just super refreshing to have a young set of eyes involved. And any sort of task that I give her, she executes very well and in a timely fashion. I'm a dinosaur now, so she's brought a whole lot of good ideas and a lot of energy, which I think we could have double or triple the amount of competitors with what we have in store. And we have a lot of all of our sponsors that are involved love being a part of the show. And everyone, and we get approached every year by a whole lot more. So we need to do a better job of working with our sponsors to add more value to the show for the athletes in way of prizes and all those types of things, experience.
Yeah, it's cool that you've got your kids are always at the shows. It's really cool to see them. And they're getting so big, man. Like your daughter is like a woman now. I was like, who is this?
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
What the fuck is happening with time, man? But it's so cool to see. Do you reckon your kids will ever compete?
My eldest daughter, Georgia, she's been training a few days a week with me post the show. She was really inspired and motivated by it. She did the trophy presentations with Mandy Cullen, and she thought Mandy was pretty cool. She's like, she grew up around bodybuilding because I was always doing it in Australia, and it's always been a part of our life. So to see that she took a genuine interest in it and she started training a few days a week, I think she'll compete probably at our show next year, or if not the year after. She'll compete. My middle daughter, Jada, she's at school, she's at boarding school, but she's interested as well. So we'll see what happens.
Who knows, man? It's in the blood. Like, you never know what will happen. But it's cool that we've got those pros as well, like Mandy and stuff. They're really good people to look up to, right? They're good pros.
Oh, I think, and I've mentioned this to yourself, Shannon, before. I think the top, bikini ladies in the country and the pros, they're leading the way as far as their commitment to training and the nutrition. There's Mandy, Kate, Amy down in Wellington. There's a handful of them that just live and breathe the lifestyle, above and beyond what a lot of the guys are doing. And they've been a good influence to everybody that, if you want to be a professional athlete, you just have to walk, talk, and breathe it. And a lot of these ladies are doing that,
Yeah, I love it. They're so good. 5 of them going over to represent New Zealand and Hawaii in just like 8 weeks or something. I don't know, but it's so cool to see. I love it when the pros like keep going. Ash Mullen, all of those guys.
Ash from a male perspective, he's first class. He's been living and breathing it for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've sort of been a bit of a role model to him. But like I saw a video that he posted this morning, and he looks phenomenal. So do the mahi, get the treats.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes in Dubai. He's not far off, so we won't have to wait long. We'll see how he goes. I'm sure he'll go awesome. Go Ash.
Yeah.
What do you want to see next? Sorry, what was that?
They're all bringing a world class. They're bringing quality now. And the presentation. Kate, for example, you see her on stage, she's flawless head to toe. The funny thing is, a lot of people think that she's always looked that way. I met Kate probably, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, and she's built every little millimeter on that frame. She's reconstructed her whole body over that time, and then her posing and just the way she presents herself, her whole look. And that's very obvious in a lot of the athletes that Frank and Kate prep together as well. You know, they always turn up in the best possible version of themselves. You know, so it's cool to have those types of people involved in the sport now.
Yeah, they're so passionate. You can see it, like it kind of radiates off them. Like Amy taking cookies to everyone and turning up to every show, and it's like just they're dedicated, and that's what we want. You know, we want our pros to be like fucking in the sport, which is cool.
Well, those cookies are so good, but I thought they were protein cookies, so I ate like 3 or 4 of them, thinking I'll skip a few meals during the day and I'll just get my protein intake from these cookies, but they're not. I think I got 12. I got 12 in Wellington, and me and the family polished them all off in a day or two. So yeah, shout out to Amy's Cookies.
Yeah, go Amy. And she gives all the athletes one, and she's just the best. But Mo did have a chat to her and said, I want these to be sugar-free. He's like, next year, sugar-free.
Yeah.
She was like, that's beside the point, you know, but we'll see.
Yeah.
She might make a sugar-free one next year for you guys. But what do you want to see at Tournament of Champs next year? I know you've got your own things planned, but do you want to see like any certain division like getting bigger on your stage? Is there any certain areas that you want athletes to bring something to your stage? Like, what do you want from the other side? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I think with what the way that we're gonna promote the show next year and what we're gonna bring, I think we will have bigger numbers across all categories. I like the bikini. Like, me being honest, I like the bikini category because it's a very high standard, and the ladies to date have they're just so easy to deal with. Everyone turns up super positive. They're all organized. You know, like if you see photos from Wellington on the weekend, or even from our show, all of them taking photos together or encouraging each other. It's just it's brought some good positive energy to the sport. You know, like back in the day a long time ago, you know, no one used to talk to anyone backstage. You know, you found your little corner, and you had your pillow, and you had to pump up weights, and you sort of all staunched each other out and tried to intimidate each other and get one-ups on each other, and that was through all categories. So
Yeah.
I think the bikini girls are a good energy to the sport, and it just seems like these days the younger girls are the ones that are training. The younger girls, like when I say young, I mean anywhere from 50 to 35, you know, 15, sorry, to 35. They're the ones in the gym that are so consistent with their training and their eating and all those types of things, and their social media content that they're creating and stuff. I just don't know of us guys. Like, there's a handful of guys out there that are doing it. Obviously, there's heaps of guys that train. I just think that we're just all lazy. We just like going in and throwing some weight around, and that's sort of the end off. But yeah.
Oh, I know, it's funny, isn't it? But there's a lot of juniors, like you see, there's a lot of young people just like they could be partying. I say it on the pod all the time. They could be partying, they could be drinking, they could be doing drugs, they could be getting pregnant, they could be doing all kinds of different things, but they're in the gym and they're eating and they're lifting heavy, and then people are telling them that they're doing something unhealthy because they're doing bodybuilding, and it's like, pardon? But they're living the life and they're doing it, and they're starting young, and it's really cool to see. And you had a few good people on your stage, like who did you have Nadar on stage? He was amazing. Was he on your stage too, Nadar? Or was he? No, I think he might have been at South Islands, but Casey took it out, didn't he? And he's quite young, and like a lot of the young guys.
Oh, Casey looked phenomenal, and the Mike, I think he beat in the overall, who won the Wellington overall. He was incredible. Some of the young juniors that are coming through, I'm really happy with the quality of some of the juniors. They look really healthy, and they look like they're getting good advice and good direction. Georgia Pedersen, she did our show. And you know, she's a local girl. Her partner's a motocross rider that my son looks up to. And you know, a year or so ago, she said she wanted to compete. She came and watched our show, and I introduced her to Frank and Kate because I knew they were the best hands to you know, put her in. And she turned up on the stage and looked phenomenal, you know. And she's only 18 years old, and you know, it was like, whoa, you look amazing. So every now and then I'll just say, how are you going? Are you on track? Are you still competing? She goes, yep, I'll see you there, boss. You know, I'll be there in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. And she just turned up and looked unbelievable. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, these young girls, I'm like, man, that was not me at 18, but geez, that's impressive. It's impressive, eh? I love to see it. But let's chat about your competing journey, because I did follow that. I watched you live a whole bunch of times. I watched you live getting your pro card, which was so sick. I fucking loved that. But when did you start competing? Like, when did you do your very first comp, and where was that?
In the early 2000s, I competed over in Australia. But I've been lifting weights from about 15, 16 years old. I prepped to compete in shows when I was a teenager. I just didn't have the confidence to turn up on the day and do it. And then I had an ambition to be a professional athlete in rugby or rugby league, so I went overseas to pursue that. But the weight training was my passion. Like, I ended up trying to get bigger and stronger to play football. And then I'd rather just go to the gym and lift weights and try and look like Arnold than play sport. So after so many injuries, I ended up pursuing bodybuilding a little more. The early 2000s, I competed in the INBA in Australia, which is Natural Federation, and I won shows there at a Sydney and state level, and then I competed at the IFBB. What was that? Asia Pacific or something like that, under 75 kgs, and I won that class as well, being natural. So yeah, that's sort of how it started over there. I did do INBA nationals and things like that over there as well. Yeah. And then I came back to New Zealand to set up nutrition systems. I own sports nutrition retail stores over in Sydney, and we came home one Christmas and there was nothing here. I thought, I'll just buy my Explode, and I'll buy my supplements over there. And we got in, there sort of wasn't anything here. So I thought, if we come back and set up a distribution business, like, that could be the future for us. So yeah, we packed up and we came over here and started all over again.
Yep.
And then that's where the bodybuilding came about 10 years later. I had Rich Gaspari and other people sort of say, like, don't worry about bodybuilding, focus on business, So we built the business up, and then my kids saw some old photos of me and said, how come you don't look like that anymore, Dad? And I was like, yes, I do. They go, nah, you got a puku now, bro. You don't look anything like that. And then I said, we sort of just, as a family, agreed that I would do a bodybuilding show, and I dieted for 16 weeks. And yeah, I ended up coming back and winning that show and winning my pro card in that federation. And then after that, that's when I did the IFBB shows, and I think I won the Wellington Classic in bodybuilding, and then went to nationals and got my pro card there.
Yeah, you did. It was so good to see. It was so cool. It was so much fun. And you've done your category or division is bodybuilding, right? Just so everybody knows.
Classic.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. It's been a minute, isn't it? Jeez.
It's been a long time. It was a long time ago. Like, I think I might have been 40 when I won my pro card, maybe. I was 38 when I got the other one. So I might have been, I think I was 40 the year I got the pro card. I'm 45. For the last 5 years, wow. COVID took up a couple of years, and then I haven't done anything.
That's kind of been it. That's my next question. But what was it like getting your pro card? Was it a goal of yours? Was it something you wanted to have, or was it just like a cool? Was it?
Oh, it was awesome. Like, I lived and breathed bodybuilding and training. Like, I still train 6 or 7 days a week now. That's been me since I was 15 years old. I've always overtrained. I've always trained minimum 6 days a week, just because I love training. Not necessarily to get the big muscles, but I'm just addicted to it. I love the mental outlet. I just love lifting weights. I just always have. But back in those days, like 30 years ago, like, they only gave out a couple pro cards a year. That was always my dream and admiration to be a pro bodybuilder. And then sort of when the classic category came out and pro cards were becoming a little bit more easier to attain, I sort of thought, yep, that's something that I want to achieve. So I went on that mission to do that.
Love it. It's so cool. I love it so much. And where are you at now with bodybuilding? Are you done, or are you going to see what happens? What do you reckon?
I think once you're a bodybuilder, you're always a bodybuilder. There's always something in my mind. Like, when I first got the pro card, probably the first year or two of getting it, I trained specifically to compete. I wanted to compete in overseas, in the States or in Canada or something like that. And then that whole COVID thing all happened. I got a couple of quite bad injuries, and then the COVID period sort of happened, and then we sort of just lost a couple of years. But I don't know. Mo wants me to at least do one pro show, or at least commit to guest posing at a show next year, or even at my show. So I said, yeah, I'll work towards that, and then we'll go from there.
So what happens? Have you ever coached anyone for the stage, or have you ever thought about being a coach, or is that just not like?
Yeah, heaps. When I lived in Sydney in the early 2000s, Juro, who was my business partner over there, and we coached a lot of people, to the stage. Yeah, we had our own teams, and we just lived and breathed it. Like, I remember having like 400 different nutrition plans or clients, on Excel spreadsheets in our computer, and I used to customize everything and train people and do the supplement, do everything. So I have, but then the distribution side of the business just sort of got too big, and I just had to prioritize that. So that was more of even though we made money out of it, it was more of a passion than a source of income. Yeah.
And now you're just a busy man. He's got too much on his plate.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? I don't know if you can add anything else to the list.
Oh yeah, it's just always busy.
Yeah. Can we talk about PEDs a little bit in New Zealand? Just because I talked to some of the males about it, and I think it's a good thing just to talk about. And I don't know a lot about the male side of things. I know more about the woman. But do you think, from what you've seen here and just how you are in the industry, do you reckon males are like, in New Zealand, do you think they're abusing it a bit much, or do you think we're relatively safe? Do you think we're like pushing anything too far? Is any like sort of thing, notes on that from your point of view?
I think the quality of the athletes that I've seen this year, the state of it's looking pretty good. I've never really communicated or given advice or direction on PEDs and stuff like that, because it's not something that I've ever specialized in or know enough about. I've always said to anyone that sort of asked me, particularly the younger guys, is that exhaust your natural potential first. I think too many people, and it's the world that we live in with social media and those types of things, but when I was in my teens up to probably early 30s, mid 30s, it just wasn't even a thought. You know what I mean? It wasn't that common. But then we didn't have access to all these ambassadors and influencers in the world on our phones. Like we looked at Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman and these types of guys in magazines, and it was like the perception was, that you had to take a lot of stuff to look like that, so you just didn't do it. You just ate chicken breast and tuna and rice. And so like my advice to the younger guys is just exhaust your natural potential as much as you can. Like, are you training properly, as efficiently as you can? Is your nutrition, if you're eating KFC on Friday night, you're training 3 days a week, do you need to be taking PEDs? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And then just educate yourself and try and get good advice or direction. I suppose the problem with New Zealand versus other countries is we don't have those professional resources available or the expertise that other countries do. You can't go to a clinic and get prescribed and get it all monitored and these types of things. So we have athletes here that are trying to look a certain way without having that professional advice or direction or expertise. That's the concern. So I've always sort of, you get a guy come up, I've had guys come up to me in the gym with a little bottle with a horse or a pig on it and say, "Hey bro, is this good to take?" I can't even read what's on the bottle. I was like, I don't think I'd be using anything that's got a pig on the bottle, bro. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And it's not even going to work the right way if you haven't got all the basics down anyway. You may as well have all that shit first, and then it'll do its job, won't it? So it's like, get those basics down, guys. I don't see it a lot. I most guys look pretty healthy to me, but again, it's not something
I think everyone's looking pretty good. Maybe a couple of years ago, the younger guys coming through, you know, it looked like there was a bit of abuse there just from some of the side effects that you can see. And I think that's just everyone trying to get somewhere really, really fast, you know. But you know, some of my favorite physiques in New Zealand, Australia, Daniel Hibbs. If you've ever seen him live in person, shredded head to toe, the guy will give you goosebumps, you know. And I've seen him at 72 kgs beat open bodybuilders, and Shia Crotty, she's another example, like flawless, you know, 100% natural. So you know, just maximize your natural potential as far as you can, and get educated. That's
Cool.
my advice.
Cool, I love it. Don't know what you're capable of until you try, right?
Yeah.
Let's chat about nutrition systems. This is your baby for a long time, so long, but it's been a big achievement from you. You do share your story with it sometimes, and I love that because it shows people that it can be done, and you've done it, growing from the ground up, you know, and it's so cool. And you've had your family on your back the whole time with that. But tell us about, when did it begin? What year did Nutrition System start? And we know now why it started, but like, when did it start? And just share how that growth is just like, you know, blown up.
Yeah, it's a long story, that one. You know, it sort of started, the whole sports nutrition side started from me being a personal trainer and writing meal plans and nutrition, you know, meal plans and training programs, sorry. And then I was implementing the supplements into the training programs, and the nutrition plans. And then I suppose my passion just grew for the sports nutrition side over the personal training. I was booked out, you know, 10, 12 hours a day in half-hour slots. I was busy and I was making money, but I ended up finding myself becoming a counselor, you know, like just hearing everybody's problem. I genuinely got into personal training to help people, and then I just found like I was just getting drained all the time. And then it was easier for me to make a living out of. I was making more money selling the supplements than I was out of the personal training side of things. And then there's a lot of revolutionary products back in the early 2000s, like Super Pump 250 and No Explode, Hydroxycut, all these types of things were all fairly new. And I'd always sort of just trained with creatine monohydrate and protein powder, you know, and I took the No Explode, and I was like throwing around I was throwing around the 60 kg dumbbells on bench press and had this big pump, and I was like, man, this must be illegal or something. It's amazing. You know, so I went down and I went and bought a couple more tubs, and then there was a book, a BSM book, and it had Ronnie Coleman's stack, and it had No Explode, Nitrix, Cell Mass, Synthesis, True Mass, Axis HT, and it told you how to take them. I bought the whole lot. And then I was using those supplements, and then I was all like jacked up, and everyone's like, man, you're taking something, you're on something for sure. And I was like, no, I'm just using all these products, you know. And then, you know, then I started implementing those into people's plans, and then I started buying supplements off a retailer who was buying off Nutrition Systems Australia at that time. And then he's just like, I was literally buying No Explode. How it started was I bought 5 tubs of No Explode for $50 each, I think, and I sold them for $60 each, and then that's how I got my tub for free. And that was just so easy. And then it just sort of progressed and progressed, and then I was selling like $20,000-$30,000 out of my car a month or every couple of weeks type thing. And then that sort of, you know, continued to hundreds of thousands of dollars of sales. We opened a couple of stores. Yeah, and then I told the story about we came back to New Zealand and it wasn't here. So we had the opportunity to come back here and start up our own business, and have the exclusive rights to those brands, or work with Nutrition Systems, set up under that umbrella and work together collectively for both territories. So that's what we sort of done. And we came back and started with nothing, you know, like my first order was 1 pallet. And, you know, now our warehouse holds 12 to 1,500 pallets, and we're always at capacity, you know, plus stock on the water, plus 3PL solutions that we use. So it's pretty big now. Yeah.
Huge, man. And like, just for the people that don't know, Nutrition Systems supplies all the best supplement brands to New Zealand and Australia and other countries too. But I think it's so cool because you have got the best brands, like you've got them locked down. I think it's really cool. There's only like one or two that's like really, really big that you don't have. So it's like, where else would you go to get your sup? So it's a big achievement. You have such a good gateway into all the best supplements. Let's talk about a couple of them, because I know that you love a few of them that you use every single day still.
Yeah.
Use them myself. What are some of your favorite brands that you have? Do you use any of them on the daily?
I use everything, or I use all of our brands. But I think the one thing with us here is I've always bought on brands that I only import brands or products that I'm going to use myself, or at the highest quality or caliber, or are market leaders in what they do. Like that sort of, we just don't bring in anything just to make a dollar type thing. It's always of the highest quality or standards. The Ghost brand, I love the Ghost brand. All of their products are phenomenal. C4 Energy, C4, we have the powder, which is an entry-level pre-workout powder, which has been one of the biggest sellers in the world for a long time. But their C4 Energy drink, that does pretty well for us, and I love drinking those. The Dymatize ISO 100, the hydrolyzed isolate, like that's sort of my go-to protein, either that or the Ghost Whey. So that's some of the favorites. But I use the Ghost Greens every day. We have Pillar have a magnesium and a vitamin C product. I use those every day. Pantry's probably got 20 different pre-workouts in there. So we use everything,
Yeah, we're on top of it all, man. And C4, like Cellucor, have got so much of like the RTD range and all that kind of stuff. So they're really hot. Everyone loves that shit now. Don't drink Prime, drink C4, guys, because it's just, And you've got like Muscle Farm. I love Muscle Farm. ProSup.
Yeah, Muscle Farm.
Yeah, I
They've
love it.
been awesome. Muscle Farm, at one stage we were supplying the All Blacks, all the Super 15 teams, Silver Ferns, Black Ferns, Joseph Parker, like pretty much all the professional athletes and teams in the country we were supplying at one stage with all batch tested certification and stuff. So that was pretty cool, working with those guys.
Yeah, it's a batch tested one too, that one, guy. So it's more tested than others, kind of thing. So it's a safer option if that's something you're worried about. What I'm gonna ask you, what like ProSups used to be fucking massive, and I know that they changed hands and things like that or something, but they just don't seem to be as big or as marketed as anymore. Is there like a reason behind that, or is it just like they're just cruising and doing their thing, or like, do you know much about that?
Oh, like you said, they sold the company. So the key influencers or the guys at the top have moved on and gone to other brands and other directions. So that's why they've lost a lot of they were the kings of marketing through social media. They were one of the first brands to really get going on Instagram, and they had brand ambassadors, and they were out and about, and they were the cool brand to be a part of at the time. They did a phenomenal job. So you take a couple of key people out, and those things just start to fall away over time,
Yeah, fair enough. Still a good brand though, guys. It's like I just noticed that marketing just it makes sense. Totally makes sense.
That's still awesome, but sometimes when corporates buy into these fast-growing companies, and the direction changes, they're not making products because they're new or innovative or whatever. A lot of it becomes around profits and margin and all those type of things, and it just changes the whole feel and direction of the brand, and that's what sort of has happened in that situation. But they have recently brought a lot of the old guys back on board, so watch the space. They might be able to rejuvenate themselves, resuscitate themselves.
We'll see. They've got good products though, so just keep buying them. They're great. What does the future look like for Nutrition Systems? I'm sure you've got like things in the works, but you've got so much going on. Is it just keep doing what you're doing, like the trajectory's up anyway? What are you going to plan for?
We'll keep doing what we're doing, but we have our own manufacturing plant that starts running powder next week or the week after, on the Gold Coast in Australia. So that's sort of the most exciting development for us. We'll be manufacturing pretty much all of our brands under licensing agreements in Australia. yeah, so that can bring down cost of goods and shipping and additional costs that come in from importing it out of America. So it'd be exactly the same product, just be manufactured in Australia versus out of the US. And then it also gives us the ability to create products relevant to our markets, our territories, Australia and New Zealand, like certain flavors, certain sizes, certain products, which is pretty cool with our key partners. So that's sort of, we've been working on that the last few years now. Yeah, so we're nearly at the finish line with that. So that's going to be awesome for us as a company.
Yeah, that's huge. That's massive. Like, if people don't know, we have different regulations in every country and stuff, and we can't get some stuff the States has got that we want, but we can't have it. So that's cool that you're going to have that, because it's going to be more obviously closer to us and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's cool. Awesome. We'll keep tuned, like stay tuned everyone on what's going to happen there. We'll move into a bit of a different topic, like a more personal topic, I suppose, but you talk a lot about family. You're a whānau man. You're a good father and a husband, and you've always, like, anyone who knows you and follows you just knows that you're a family man. But I thought I'd ask you, because you'd be a good person to ask, like, tips for younger guys, because in New Zealand this happens a lot. They might be younger with a family, maybe a bit younger, trying to struggle and balance everything, or like whatever. But would you have tips for young guys on how to get through that? Because I know it will take a toll on the mental health, like trying to have, like, provide and look after everyone and be the dad and like all of that kind of stuff. Like, do you have any tips for guys going through that first time? Good question.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just been an evolution. It's just been part of who I am. Like, I was brought up by a single mum, and you know, it was tough. So I just think I just always wanted to be. As soon as I had my kids, I just wanted to be the best possible dad that I could be for them, and for them to not have to go through the things that I went through. Not that it was bad or anything, but you know, I just wanted to, you know, just be the best that I possibly could, and you know, and first and foremost, being the best husband that I could be. You know, like making sure that my wife, you know, just being happy and being on the same page with everything, and that she can hold her head up high, you know, with my last name, and you know, that we're a strong, united family. You know, so whatever we project on social media, that's us. You know, like, we love each other, and we're happy all day, every day as a unit. Like, everything we do is for each other. So I don't know, that's probably why I haven't competed as often and those types of things, because I would rather put my time and energy into supporting my kids, you know, goals and ambitions and stuff, and as opposed to putting time into myself. But you got to have a balance. You have to do things for yourself, and you know, the last couple of times I competed was to teach them that, you know, if you want to achieve things at a certain level, you have to be committed. You know, you have to train twice a day, you know, 4 hours a day. You have to eat 9 meals a day. You have to get your sleep, and you have to do, and then you still have to work, and you still have to be a dad, and you still, you know. So yeah, I just think I've said this a couple of times before, but like, my mum brought us up by herself, and you know, my dad, he lived on the same street as us, and we never had a car, so I'd be dubbing my two sisters to and from school, or would be walking home and those types of things, and sometimes he'd drive past in his car and beat the horn and wave out, and would wave back, "Hey, Dad," you know. And so I just never wanted my kids to feel the things that I felt, like those types of things, you know. So they've just been showered with love and support, just probably at a crazy level, you know.
No, it's all worth it. They look like they just appreciate the hell out of it all. And like, your son, is it Jax? Is that his name?
Yeah, that's yeah.
A little killer. He's a little motocross boy, isn't he? And like, they all work hard at whatever they do, even if it's just a hobby. It's just real cool to see such drive in children, you know.
Yeah, we've taught them to work hard. Like, they've got a pretty, you know, we've got a good lifestyle. But my eldest daughter, for example, she works for us 4 or 5 days a week, and then the other day she's at Sterling Sports, so she's worked 7 days a week this whole year. You know, they've been taught how to work hard to get whatever they want, and to earn things in life. My son, Jackson, and Jada's at boarding school at the moment, and academically she's achieving everything at the high, like 99%. She's the brains of the family. So she's applying herself to that at the moment. And yeah, Jack with the motocross. He's currently 2NZ. He's got 140,000 followers on his TikTok. He's fully sponsored and all those types of things. So he's been taught to work hard to achieve how he performs on the bike, but then he's building a brand and that also, which has got sponsorships and creative opportunities as well. So just try to teach them you can do anything you want and be anything you want or achieve anything you want in life as long as you put in the work, and you're passionate. You got to be passionate about it. I don't want them to go to university and be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. It sounds good if they're not living and breathing it and passionate about it,
Yeah, they would just be sad to watch them do it, like money down the drain, for nothing. So yeah, that's cool. They found their little niches that they like by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Cool to see. I love it. How do you look after your mental health? Because you have so much on your plate. Do you spend time looking after your mental health, or do you just get enough sleep and stuff like that? How do you look after your mindset?
Just training. Can have a lot going on and be super busy and worn out and tired. I get up between 4:30 and 5 every day, drop a scoop of pre-workout and go to the gym. And we've got a gym, we've got our own home gym. And as soon as I train, I just feel good, Anything that was maybe concerning or an issue or whatever, or dragging me down, it's just gone. You ask anyone that felt like shit before workout how they feel after, 99.9% of the time they're going to say they feel better. So that's just, I've trained 6 or 7 days a week my whole, since I was about 15 years old. The only days that I don't train is when we're at motocross, if I can't, but that's a busy day anyway. So yeah, training's my mental health.
Nice. I love it. It's true though. It definitely helps with everything. But I was going to say that, what do you do on a rest day? But I guess it's like a forced rest day kind of thing.
I don't have a rest day. If I don't do weights, I still do cardio every day. So if my rest day is, I don't have a rest day, but if I can't train, even if we go to motocross and it's local, I'll still get up and do at 5 or 4:30 and do 500 calories or 1,000 calories maybe on the treadmill, Yeah, but that's just habit and routine and mental health. I can get up at 4:30, jump on the treadmill, bang out 500 calories, and then I'm charging, I'm ready to go, making eggs on toast for breakfast, getting the boy up to have a shower and get ready, and we're on our way, I'm pumped, ready to go.
Wakes you up, gets ready for the day. Otherwise it's just roll out of bed and then coffee.
I can't, the latest I'll sleep in would be 7:30. If I sleep till that late, I'm grumpy. I don't know why, I'm just grumpy that I've just wasted a few hours, and my wife would just say, bugger off to the gym and do a workout. We're not putting up with this crap all day. I just hate it, So
I'm the same as you. I wake up real early, I don't sleep in, and I train every day because I have to. So just leave me alone. I feel you on that. We're going to move to a different topic. You do another thing on your list of many things that you do. You're an IFBB judge. We did touch on that just before. It seems like such an honor to do. What is it like to be an IFBB judge? Is it quite fun, or is it just quite a big job? What is it like?
It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. The last few years with COVID has been a bit COVID's been COVID, and my son, because Jax races motocross every single weekend, probably only a handful of weekends out of the year that he doesn't race. So, the last few years I haven't been as active with the judging, but anytime I have been, I've really enjoyed it. So, I said to Mo after my show, I want to get a lot more involved now. Mo always invites me. I can judge at every show all year. He's always if you're going to come judge or whatever. And I really like it. So now I'm just trying to, just jig my schedule so I can attend as many of them as possible. But yeah, I love it. I really enjoy it, particularly the Wellington show on the weekend gone. I was just happy to be there and be a part of it. And, you know, it was a full house. The quality of the athletes were really good. Yeah, it's just exciting. So I said to Mo, you know, over the next couple of years, I want to get involved at a higher level, and just help and support him any way I can. But yeah, just be involved a whole lot more.
Nice. Are you going to judge any of the upcoming shows, Waikato or the Nationals or Mo's Muscles that you know of?
Definitely nationals. Maybe Waikato. I'm not 100% sure because Jax is racing. If I can get there, I'll do that. I don't think I can do most muscles. I think I'm traveling while I'm somewhere. But the plan is to get to all of them if I can now. And next year I'll be at as many as I can. That's the plan.
Nice, love it. You might see him there, guys, if he's on the panel. Give him a smile if you're on the stage. You'll be judging. I know that we talk about on this pod. We do wrap ups for all the IFBB shows, Frank and I.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of people talking about the bikini overall winners and how different they might be or whatever. And wellness, there's obviously not many in wellness to choose from, but the best is always one on the day. Can I ask you, from a judge's perspective, what are we looking for with wellness and bikini compared to what we've already got? Or have we seen a good standard, or do we want something different?
I think the standard is really, really good, to be honest. They're pretty tough categories to judge because everyone's so different. Like you can have a girl in one class that will win her class and be the standout in that class, but then in the overalls or next to other people doesn't look quite as good, or still looks good but doesn't quite meet the category requirements. So she might look phenomenal, but she might look more like a figure girl or a wellness girl versus a bikini girl. So I think that's taken into consideration a lot, particularly in the overall. And I saw you repost Tyler Mannion's category requirements for bikini a few weeks ago, which I thought was awesome, just so that there's some real clarity around what the category is supposed to look like. And I think a lot of people, if there's a girl that comes out, for example, and she's got abs and she's really, really lean and she's got a bit of quads and her glutes and hams are popping, that she should just win. But then that's not really the category requirements. You know what I'm saying? So yes, but it's been interesting. And from the judges table, and I think Chris and Fawood have done an awesome job of the way that they compare them. The positions can change. You can have a girl that's in clear first, and then by the time they get compared and they moved around a little bit, it can change quite a lot, which I found quite fascinating and interesting over the last couple of shows, because it's become a lot more clear to me, the differences between, a first or a third, with the way that the comparisons have gone on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the girls while they're posing, their physiques can change. Like it's so strange, and because you're so lean, and then the carbs, everything takes an effect. Like things can change on the stage.
Yeah, it can change a lot with the guys too. A lot of the guys end up, whilst posing on stage, drying up a lot more and getting a lot more condition, so they can improve on the stage.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, talking on bikini, just because it's my first year in bikini as well, we always come back to bikini a little bit. I know I'm a bit biased, but do you think we've seen enough muscle development, and do you think we've seen enough conditioning, or do you think there needs to be a little bit more of one of all the two? And that's just like across the board, you know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? I think the girls here have been of a really awesome standard this year, and I think we're on the right track. It's a really hard category to nail because you want your glutes and hammies to be visible, but not too hard, but not too soft. If you listen to Tyler's category requirements, everything's sort of like you got to have cap shoulders, but not too hard. You got to have a nice toned midsection, but not abs popping out. You got to have your glutes and hammies in, but you can't have your hams popping out. So I think the girls have done, the standard that we're seeing has been really good. But the ones that get it 100% right are the precise winners on stage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they have to be. a good job of the judging. The judging's not easy, and you're there like all day judging everyone, so it must get a little tiring, but you always do a great job. Everyone's been looking
The hardest thing is you see the people, all the spectators want their person to win, you know, so they see what they want to see, and the crowd see what they want to see too. Like, you know, there might be a particular athlete that's got real good abs and is, you know, is shredded, got quads are popping, and, you know, glutes and hammies are, but they're too hard for the category requirements. I think the biggest thing with anyone, particularly anybody getting, you know, trained by a coach, is to be sure that the coach knows exactly what the category requirements are, you know, which I think is becoming a lot clearer now. But I think in the past, a lot of stuff was a sort of one size sort of fits all, and how you come in on the day is how you come in on the day. But, you know, a lot of those classes, if you're too hard, you know, if you're 2% body fat in your midsection, then that's not what the bikini class is looking for, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And because there's such a high caliber, even on the Olympia stage, it gets down to the tiny details now. So it's so hard to judge and just to pick and stuff. But it's cool. We're doing good, girls. Anyone that's competed, we're on the right path. Shane said it too. It's been good.
I think so. I think the posing, the quality of the posing in those classes is really high too. So a lot of it is how they present themselves on the stage as well. You know, like you can change the perception of the body by presenting it properly, and that's at a much higher standard as well now.
Yeah, that was my next topic with you, is talking about posing, because like it's like you said, it's so important. You could have the best physique but not win because if your posing did not bring it up, like it didn't look good. But I think we've got a good couple of coaches in the country, like Kate and Rhiannon, and there's a whole bunch more that do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's helping a lot, is seeing they've been able to reach a lot more girls. So do you think that posing has definitely gotten improved over the years, or do you think like girls should still be practicing that a little bit more? What do you think about the posing?
It's 100% improved. Like the standard's very, very high. And I think a lot of the younger bikini girls that are coming through, they know that, you know, they have to train, they have to eat what they're eating, and they have to put in their posing time. You're doing it yourself, but I've seen a lot of these girls coming through are put in the time in, and they're getting better and better. I'm from the old school where you just lifted weights. You know, the era that I grew up in was like you got as big as you could in the off season. So I'd get around 100 kgs. You diet for 12 to 16 weeks, and try and get absolutely as shredded as you can. And then, you know, like you do some posing a couple of days before. You know what I mean? Like I remember doing my routine for a show the night before the show. Like that's just sort of how it was then. You know, like. And you know, I'm lazy, like most of us guys are sort of lazy. You sort of think if you get the body there, that when you pose, it's just going to look good. But you know, I've definitely been at shows where I've seen guys backstage and they look sort of average, but their presentation is 10 out of 10, and they beat guys with better bodies than them. So yeah, I think the standard and the expectation of what's required is a lot clearer, and you know. Yeah. It's getting brought to the stage.
Keep bringing it. I love it so much, because you work all that time. People work years and years and years, and you're only getting on stage for like maybe even just 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Wow the judges. Like they're the people that you're supposed to be wowing. So it's a performance at the end of the day, and you're there to like perform and show your body and prove that you're worthy of number one. So it's like for me, it's like I'm not going to get up there and embarrass myself. So I practice every day, because I'm not fucking getting up there and I put it on Instagram and shit. So if I embarrass myself, that's going to be really like affect my insecurities big time. But I think it's all about like getting up there and being confident as well. Like, and if you're confident in your posing, you'll look good on stage, right? You know, I bet those people that walk out, smile, and they've got their posing down, I bet they're the ones that you want to watch as a judge, right? They're the good people to watch.
Oh yeah. Catherine Daniel too. She's awesome. If you've ever seen her on stage, she's probably one of the first local, you know, ladies that really, really put in the time and showed that content through her social channels that, hey, I'm doing this every single day leading into a show. And I think she did our Tournament of Champions shows, one of the first ones, and she walked out on stage and just looked unbelievable. And she just had a confidence because she knew she'd put the time in. You know, when you see girls turn up with incredible physique, you know, bodies that they put the work in, and they can't walk in a pair of high heels, you know, 2 meters. So yeah, it becomes a confidence. If you put the time in, then the confidence is going to show on the stage as well.
Yeah, 100%. Who are your favorite athletes of all time? Like bodybuilding athletes that you watch, like even like you say back in your day, like who are your favorite? Who are your favorites like of all time ever?
Oh, I grew up, you know, watching Arnold, Pumping Iron. I watched Pumping Iron probably every single day for about 3 years straight. I knew the movie off by heart, inside out, backwards. You know what I mean? So I'm always a fan of that era. But when I got into when I had my own supplement shops and got into the sports nutrition side of thing, Ronnie Coleman was the king. So Ronnie's always been king for me, and I'm good friends with Ronnie, good friends with Jay Cutler. So I've always been a fan of Jay, and Flex also is one of my best mates. So you know, I've been a fan of him. You know, I just love him because he's like my bro. So been cool seeing what he did in that 212 space while he was competing. So that'd be my favorite.
Yeah, I love it. And like all of those guys, they all do. I was going to say, just like I follow a lot of Jay Cutler's stuff, but they do such cool stuff for the sport still. Like they're still so involved. Hey, it doesn't matter what age they
Oh,
are, they're still so into it.
yeah, just positive influences and just great ambassadors for the sports. Jay's awesome. Jay Cutler, he gives a lot of time back into the younger guys coming through, just from his experience, and it's all just with good intent, just trying to help these guys, you know. So yeah, he's awesome.
So cool to see. It's awesome. I love it when they just keep representing. Do you have any tips for like amateur rookie athletes that are still yet to compete this year, or maybe it's their first year to nationals? Do you like just head down, grind? Like, what are your favorite like tips for first timers?
It's just do the work, just head down and grind. Don't take any shortcuts, and just enjoy the process. Like we all know how hard dieting and those sort of things is, but I always enjoyed it. I loved being, you know, in routine and in schedule, and I just really enjoyed it. A lot of the people that I used to prep with for same shows, or even in Australia when everyone in our gym was doing the same show, they all whinged and moaned, "Oh, I have to eat. I hate eating fish," or "I got to do cardio. I hate cardio." I just loved everything. I'm gonna get my meal, just eat it, love it. You know, like get on the treadmill, man. I love this shit. Like,
Yeah.
everything was. You just got to really, really enjoy it. And then the key thing for the younger people is just learn, document everything. For every prep that I did, you know, the peak week or the depletion week, I did a different prep every single time. So I recorded it all, and then I could go back and said, okay, I drank X amount of waters, or I ate this, or I did this, or I did that. And I'd always just keep finding ways to improve it, or, you know, like to peak better, or to fill out more, or whatever. So document it all so you can do a true comparison. But just that last week in particular, you know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of first timers get real nervous because it's their first show. They want to just do the best on their first show, but it's a long game, right? Like you should want to come back and like do better and like work on your physique. Is that kind of what you think? It's more of a long game than a short game?
Oh, it's a long game. It's a long game. Yeah, you got to enjoy the process, get there, and then just learn. And we've seen over the, you know, Ash Mullen, for example, he's just come back year after year after year, getting better and better and better. And you know, there's probably 3 or 4 occasions he should have won his pro card, and he didn't. And he took it on the chin and came back better. And I said to him, "Your time will come, but come back and be undeniable." You know, so the year he won his pro card and he was undeniable, I go, how good does that feel? You came back, you know, like you came back and you won undeniably. That's making a statement, you know. Now go and build from here, you know.
It's rare to get your pro card first pop. So you're going to keep working. You can't let it defeat you if you don't win. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Lou gets her one. I'm banking on Lou getting that pro card. She's going to do it. They're going to be a pro card couple. I know it. Will you be watching the Olympia this year?
Probably. I'm not sure if I'm going yet. I've been to 13 Olympias over the last, 15, 16 years. So usually when it comes to Olympia time, I'm there watching it live. The last couple of years, obviously, I haven't gone. So I'm still trying to decide whether we're gonna go or not. Hopefully I'm there watching it live.
Yeah, maybe after Mo's Muscles and the Olympia qualifications are decided, it depends who goes, and we might have a couple of Kiwis over there representing. Who knows? Might be.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, well, they should go over if they win. If they get their O qualification, you better use it.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go.
Use it, man. You come on. How big? On that note, how big do you think Mo's Muscles is going to be this year? Because I think people, I'm trying to hype it up because people don't understand it's a pro show and a pro qualifier, so it's quite big. What? How do you think it's? Do you think it's going to be big? Do you think boys should?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty big because pro qualifier, right? So there'll be a lot of people that are in prep mode now that have a good opportunity to get a pro card, and also I think there's been a lot of athletes, international athletes, that have wanted to come, that enjoy coming here to compete. So, and now with, you know, the borders open, all those types of things, I think it'll be a good show. The timing's good.
Perfect after nationals. So keep going, guys, and go through to both shows if you can. They're only a week apart. There's only 1 weekend. There's not even a weekend, but in between, it's 1 week apart. So it's worth doing. Hey? Well, that's pretty much all I had for you, Shane. I tried to get as much out of you as I could, squeeze you all the information out of you. But maybe we can chat again after the season's over and just see how it went, you know, and what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me on. And, you know, much respect to you doing this. Like, it's cool. Some positive energy, you know, and just something local. Like, I take my hat off to you. I said I got a lot of respect for you, so keep doing what you're doing. It's cool. It's always positive.
Yeah, always positive. Just pushing the sport up, and like constructive criticism if there is any criticism. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it and your time. Go and shop those nutrition system brands because they're the best. Everyone go sign up for Tournament of Champs next year. Let's pack it out. Let's make it.
That's going to be. Yeah, we need to. We'll get back on here once we've finalised everything for that show. We've got a couple of big announcements, so we'll do another one and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll release out the news, so stay tuned, everyone. But thanks, Shane. Yeah. Right, have a great rest of the season, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks. Good luck for your show too.
Thank you. See you.